Hey guys, so what we are looking at here is how we'll be confirming our user's email. So once the user has signed up in our application, we will be sending a confirmation link to their email, as you might have experienced while logging in maybe in YouTube or any other websites. You might get a confirmation link from their email, and you might click on that link, and after clicking on that link they'll say yes, your email has been verified. So we'll be creating exactly the same kind of link. So how we'll be proceeding to do that is, once the user has signed up, so what we'll do is we'll generate a unique ID using a UUID, and we'll set that UUID with the value of user ID. So we'll be doing this with Redis set command. So here I've taken Redis set command. So the useful thing about Redis is you can expire using the XEX. So you can expire a value in your Redis database. For example, if you use the Redis set command, set my key and hello is the value, and you can also use the value get, and with the key my key you'll get the value hello. So here you can also say set my key hello, and you can say expires in seconds. So you can say, let's say our the UUID we have set as the key, and the value the user ID will be setting is the value, and we can say expires after 15 minutes. So once if the user has not clicked on the link after 15 minutes, the value and the UUID will be deleted from our database. So essentially for that reasons we'll be using Redis. And so we'll be generating a unique UUID, and we'll be setting the user's user ID in that set value. So we'll be storing that in our Redis database. So and during that same time we'll be sending a link with the UUID to their emails user's email. So the user's email will get a unique link saying, it might just be an anchor link. We can just do it in an anchor link. The user might not understand what's behind it. So when the user clicks on the link, what essentially it has is the UUID, and so in our backend we'll check whether the UUID exists, and once if it exists we'll get the value, and what we'll get is the user ID, and then we can proceed to update our user's database by saying yes, the user has confirmed. So let's do this. So for creating or sending an email, so we'll be using this library called NodeMailer. So essentially we'll be using this example over here. You can see by passing in the host name and the port in secure, and here you can be sending the HTML that you want, and you can send to which email that you want. And also for sending or getting this SMT, the ethereal over here is actually free from NodeMailer, but you can't use it commercially. So if you want to use it commercially, we can either set up our own SMT server, or it is better to use some other SMT providers. So I've been using this application called SendGrid. So what they gave us is somewhere around 40,000 free emails per month, and additional 100 after you have crossed 40,000, so 100 emails per day. So after signing up for the free tier, you'll get this welcome screen. So then you can click send your first email. So we'll be using the SMT relay. So we'll press start over here, and we'll be using here the SMT relay. We'll choose SMT relay. And so we'll name our API key as voting app. So we'll create our API key now. So now you can see the server is smt.sendgrid.net, so you can replace that over here, and we'll be using the secure port, and this is our API key. So, and a better way to store our API key, the standard way, is using an environment variable. So for that we'll be using .env. So .env is a package in npm, so you can store your environment variables like this. For example, you can say our API key is this, and we can set the API key value, and we can get the value by saying process.n and the key name. So let's set our .n for getting environment variable. So we'll do that in our application. I've actually not opened up a VS Code. Okay, so let's install .n first. So we'll do yarn add. Before we need to change the directory to server, then we can do yarn add .n. So after adding .n, we need to create a .n file. So we'll be creating that in our root file. So right under our root directory, that is server, we'll be creating .n. And I'll also be ignoring this file in our git ignore. So what essentially I'll be uploading is a .env example file. So rather than exposing my API keys and secret values, I'll be uploading the example file. So let's create a key over here. So we'll call it send grid API key, and this is the key. And in our example file, I'll just copy the send grid over. Send grid API key. Okay, so what you have to do is essentially we need to import .n, and we have to set a .config in our root main.ts file. We go here in source, under source main.ts, we need to import *as.n and .n, and let's set .n .config. I think it's supposed to be like this. So let's import the .n types for us, our package. So we'll do that by saying yarn add -t at type /.n. And just for checking if our .n works, let's in our application module, or it's better if we create in our, we'll do that in our main.ts file. Let's call our secret, our SendGrid API key, just for sake of it. Let's see if it works or not. So we'll do that by saying console.log process.env SendGrid API key. So let's check if it works. So by starting our server by saying yarn start dev. So right now here you can see our API key is getting console.log, so that means our .n file is working. Let's quit out from our server. Let's go back and install NodeMailer. So we can do that by saying yarn add NodeMailer. So yarn add NodeMailer. So let's also, I guess the types have not been added for NodeMailer as well. Let's also add that. So yarn add -d at type / NodeMailer. So what you'll be doing is you'll be sending an email. So let's create a new file under user. Let's call it, maybe we'll create a new file under utils. So right under source, we'll create a new folder name. Let's create a new folder called utils. So maybe in the future we might need, like in any other resolvers, if we want to send any email, so we can use this function. So let's that's why I've created a new folder name called utils. Let's create the file confirm email, or let's call it send email. Yes, let's make it generic. Let's copy that example over. So let's import this by saying import star as NodeMailer from NodeMailer. So let's change this to a arrow function. Let's export this as well. So here it says generate test SMTP server account, only needed if you have a real email account for testing. So we won't be needing this. Let's create our reusable transport layer, and here our SMTP is sendgrid.net. Our port is, it's a secure port, so it's 465 for SSL secure port, and we will use, we say true here. Our username is, sorry, username, it says API key, so our username is API key, and our password is coming from environment variable. So we'll say process.n.sendgrid API key. Let's also remove that from our main.ts file, process.n. And what we need to do is essentially we'll be generating UUID and setting in our Redis. So let's do that as well. So let's create a function. Let's call it confirm email link. Yes. So essentially, if we want to use Redis, we either have to say use this like we should write raw queries like this by saying set my key hello. So there's a better way to do this. There's a library called IO Redis. So you can connect your Redis library through that. So IO Redis gives us this really easy functions and things like that over here. If you take a look, so you can do, what you can do is you can create your Redis instance and do redis.set, essentially what you have done there. So set my key hello. So redis.set the key and the value, and we can get with the key and we'll get the value over here. So we'll use this library called Redis. So let's install that first. So yarn add Redis. And let's install types for that as well. So yarn add -d type slash Redis. It should be capital D. Okay. So let's import star as Redis. So before that we need to essentially create a Redis instance. So it's better to create a Redis instance in our root file. So we'll create a new file under our source. We'll call it redis.ts and let's import that over here. Redis from Redis, and let's export Redis export const Redis is equal to new Redis. Now we can import this Redis over here. So let's create the function. So let's export it first. Export const confirm email link. Let's make it an arrow function. And what we need is we need to generate a UUID first. So for generating a UUID, we can use this library called UUID in npm. So we can install it by saying npm install UUID, and we can use whatever versions we want. So I think basically the version 4 is much better, so it has more unique value. Oh, I guess different versions are based on different. So version 1 is based on timestamp, 3 is based on namespace, and 4 is random. So we'll be using version 4. So let's add UUID first. So yarn add UUID, and also we'll add the types for UUID. Yarn add -d type slash UUID. Or rather we can import the version 4 itself. Import version 4 from UUID. And let's create const id is equal to version 4. Let's call the function. So now we have created the unique ID. So let's store it in our Redis database, and we need to get the user ID as well. So we'll get that from our parameters. So we'll say user ID is a string. So we'll store it redis.set. So as you can see here, Redis has been imported automatically. For some reason, absolute path doesn't really work in Nestjs, so let's make it relative path. So redis.set, set the first we need to specify the key. So the key is the ID. So ID, and the value is user ID, and we can say it expires, and the second, we should specify this in seconds. So let's say 60 seconds into 60 minutes, 60 milliseconds into I guess it should be in seconds, right? Yes, 60 seconds into 16 to 15. Next, what we need to do is we need to send or generate a link. So let's return the value, return local http / localhost. So this essentially what we need to say is the link for our backend server's IP. So for now we'll say localhost 3000, and after that we'll be sending it on the path user / ID. So I think we'll say user / confirm / ID. So we'll get the ID by interpolating it. So ID. Okay, so it's better to set our HTTP localhost in an environment variable. So we'll do that over here. So our backend host, yes, backend host is HTTP / localhost 3000. And we'll get that value by interpolating it. Process.n.backend host. And that is it. This will be the link that is being created for us, and this will be the link that we will be sending to the user's email. So once the user's email clicks on the link, what we'll do is we'll essentially get the value get the user's ID from the UUID. So we'll be getting the value from our Redis database, and then we'll say let's update our users in our database. We'll say yes, the user has been verified, and we'll proceed to log him in. So in our sign up mutation over here, so I'm right in under user.service. So right after when we save our user, we'll be saying we'll be sending the confirmation link. No, we'll be sending an email. So we'll do that by saying send email. Seems like I have not exported this. So this should be send email. So send email. So what you'll be sending is the users. So where we'll be sending to the user's email. So we'll get that by sign up input.email, and we need to send the link as well. So we'll get that by confirm email link, and we need to send the user's ID in our confirm email link. So after saving our users values, we'll get a return value over here. So we'll get that by saying over here const user. Over here we'll get the user's ID, and also we need to send the email. So in our send email, let's add in an argument. So So it should be email over here, so it's a string, and the link that is being generated, and it is also a string. So under here too, we'll be sending it to the user's email. So paste an email here, and the link, we'll just say hello world. After that we'll create an anchor tag. Let's href this anchor tag here with our link, and let's close this anchor tag. Let's write here confirm email. Let's interpolate this by making this to a backtick. Okay, so over here we won't really be needing this preview for ethereal email, so we are not using ethereal email. So in our confirm email there seems to be, this is actually string, yes. So this is coming from user ID is okay, this is coming from our user.entity. We need to change this ID to a string, because UUID that has been generated is essentially a string rather than numbers. So in our previous video we have actually changed this to UUID. So yeah, so right after the user signs up, we will be saving the user's value in our database. After that we'll get the user's ID, so we'll be confirming the user by generating a link, and we'll be sending the users we'll be sending to the user's email this link that we have generated. Let's await this because I have made it to an async function. So in our email, let's create this to an async function, and let's await this Redis as well. So because this is a database call, we need to await this. And let's await this whole send email thing. Okay, so to check this out, let's there is a helper website called Minutebox, so you'll get 10-minute emails in Minutebox. Let's copy this over. So let's start our server first. Let's see if everything is going okay. So yarn start dev. So this is the thing I've told you guys, the Nestjs doesn't really understand absolute paths. So this error is coming from user.service, so we'll change this to a relative path. Okay, I guess the server has started with no other problems. Let's go back to our localhost 3000/GraphQL, and let's paste this, let's copy this email over, and let's create a new user. Let's call him, what was the name of the user over here? Jan Augustus. So let's call him August. Let's paste in the password, I mean the email, using the same email as the password as well. Let's press the play button now. Okay, So if we wait for our minute box, we might get an email. So yes, so this thread info is coming from our email that we have generated here, because if you take a look in the send email, we have actually said thread info here, and it's coming from foo@example.com. That is why it is saying it's coming from foo here. You can see it's okay. Then we'll press the confirm email. So right now nothing really happens because we have not created a controller over here for user/confirm. So once we'll create a controller and we'll create the functions that we have to do once the user has clicked on the confirm email. So we'll do that in our next video. Thank you guys for watching.